Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be in the key of B flat major, and I'm going to show you how to voice all the different tones of the B flat major scale. Alright, so we know B flat's 1, C is 2, D is 3, E flat's 4, F is 5, G is 6, A is 7, and B flat is the 1. Alright, so on the 1 in the key of B flat, we know that's typically going to be a major chord, so you can play it as a B flat major triad, B flat, D, and F, and I'm just doing a power chord in my left hand, B flat and F, or the 1 and 5. Alright, so it's typically major, so you can make it a major chord. You can make it a sus2, and to do that, instead of playing the third, which is D, you play the C, the second. So this is your sus2 chord. Sounds good. This is your sus4 chord, where we're suspending it. Instead of playing the instead of playing the third scale degree, play the fourth. Alright? So you have B flat major, B flat sus2, B flat sus4. Okay? Another thing you can do is play your major chord with the added ninth. Okay? Add the 9 or the 2, the second scale degree, which is C. And that sounds good. Alright, additional options are to form a major 7th chord. Remember to play the major 7th, you can find the third scale degree, 1, 2, 3, which is D, and play that as a minor. So D minor is D, F, and A. If I play that with my B flat or my root in the bass, it gives me a major 7th voicing. And this is pretty sweet because then I can just look at this in my right hand as a minor chord and just start inverting it to get different voicings. Alright, so that's my B flat major 7th. Alright, now another option is to play your B flat as a major 9th chord, your 1 as a major 9th chord. So to form a major 9th, I'm going to find the 5th scale degree of the chord that I'm on. So the root is B flat, so find the 5 of B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is F, and form a major chord, F, A, and C. And if I play that major triad over that root, it gives me my major 7th type of sound. Okay. There we go. So that's another option. And then, as I've shown you in other videos, one of the things that I like to do when I'm playing a major chord is use a quartal voicing. Quartal, Q-U-A-R-T-A-L. Alright, and I can do that off of the third scale degree. So if I'm playing a B flat, right, I can form a quartal chord off of the 3. I can form a quartal chord off of the 2. I can form a quartal chord off of the 7, and I can form a quartal chord off of the 6, and all of them will sound good. Okay, so that's some different options of things you can do when you're on the 1 in a song on a B flat. Okay, as a summary, you can play it as a major chord, sus2, sus4, add the 9. You can do a major 7th or a major 9th voicing, and then you can play around with your quartal chords, right, off of the 3, the 2, the 7, and the 6. Alright, now that you know now that you have some options of things you can do on the 1, let's look at the 2. The 2 is typically minor, right? So the 2 in B flat is C, so I can play a C minor triad, right? So that's C, E flat, and G. Again, I'm playing a power chord with my left hand, so just the C and the G. You can make this a minor 7th. How do I form a minor 7th chord? Find the third tone, right? So the third is going to be, this is the 1, the 3, and the 5. The third is E flat. Form a major. So E flat major is E flat, G, and B flat. If I play that over that C, or even that whole C minor chord, it gives me a C minor 7th. And it's cool because, again, I can play different inversions in my right hand to give it different voicings. Okay? So that's your minor 7th. Another thing you can do is you can play the minor 9th. How do I find the minor 9th? Instead of playing the 3rd as a major chord, find the 5th tone of that C minor chord, 1, 3, 5, which is G, and play that as a minor. So G minor is G, B flat, and D. And when I play it over that C minor, it gives me a C minor 9. And again, I can play different inversions in my right hand, which is sweet. Okay, so that's your minor 9th. And then another thing you can do is you can play a minor 11th. How do I form a minor 11th chord? I play my minor triad again, right? Now what I'm going to do is go down a whole step from my root. My root is C, so go down a whole step, and that's B flat, and play a B flat major, right? And that gives me my C minor 11th sound. So anytime I want to play a minor 11th chord, play a minor chord in my left hand, go down a whole step from the root, and play that as a major chord. Alright, because that gives you the 1, 3, 5, 7, D is the 9, and that 11th is the F. Alright, and it sounds really good. Alright, so on the third tone in the key of B flat, we know that's going to be the D. On the third tone, you can always play the stuff that you did on the 1. So you can play a 1 as a major chord over top of it, right? B flat, D, and F. Do that. You can sus the 2, suspend this second, so B flat, C, and F. We're not going to do a sus 4 because it kind of clashes. So on that third scale degree, I can play it as 1 major or 1 sus 2. Okay. Another thing that I like to do is play a quarter chord that's a whole step below it. So a whole step below that 3 is the 2, which is C. Play a quarter chord, C, F, and B flat. Okay. So C, F, and B flat, sus 2, regular major chord, or you can add that second. Okay. And that works out well. Okay. That gives you more of a major sound. Also, you can go for more of a minor sound when you're on the third. So we can just play the 3 as a minor, D, F, and A, D minor, right? Or you can make this like a D minor 7th. So I'm going to take the third of that D minor, which is the F, and play that as a major chord in my right hand. F, A, and C. Together that gives me my D minor 7th. And I can play that right hand chord in different inversions. Okay. So I can make it a major 7th. I can make it a minor 7th, or I can make it a minor 9th by taking the 5th, 1, 3, and 5 of that D minor, which is A, and play that as a minor chord. So A minor in my right, A, C, and E. When I play it together, it gives me a minor 9 sound. Okay. And I can play that A minor in different inversions. Okay. And then I can also make this a minor 7th by going a whole step below my root, which is going to be C, and playing a major chord, C, E, and G. Together it forms a minor 11th. And again, I can play that right hand chord in different inversions. Okay. And then the last thing that I like to do is play a chordal off of the root. So if I'm playing D minor, I can get a minor 11th sound just by playing a D chordal chord, D, G, and C, when I put the 2 together. Alright, so that's chord options and things that you can use on the 3. Alright, on the 4, here we go. The 4 in the key of B flat is going to be E flat, right? And we know, according to the number system, the 4 is typically major. So of course, I can play an E flat major here. E flat, G, and B flat, right? Just play a straight major triad. I can suspend this by playing a sus 2 voicing. So instead of playing the third, which is G, I can play the second, which is F, and make it a sus 2 chord. I don't typically make the third a sus 4 because it's going to start to clash, I think, a little bit. So I'll rely on the sus 2 when I'm on the 4. Okay. So major triad, sus 2. Of course, you can add the 9, which is where you play the 1, 3, 5, and then you're adding in the 2 or the 9. Okay. So that's an option as well. And you can play this as a major 7th. How do I find my major 7th chord? I find the third scale degree of this major chord, which is G, and form a minor chord, G minor. So G, B flat, and D over that E flat, essentially, will give you your major 7th sound. So that's the major 7th. Another chord option is to play this as a major 9th. How do I make a major 9th? Find the 5th scale degree, 1, 3, and 5, right? So that 5 is B flat. Play that as a major chord over top of your regular E flat or your 1. Okay? And that gives you the 1, 3, 5, the 7th, and there's the 9th, right? And now I can start to invert that B flat major chord in my right hand and give me a different type of voicing, different sound. Okay, so that's the major triad, the sus 2, right? That's the major 7th, and the major ninth. Another thing we can do is use our chordals, right? Quartal chords, formed off of the third scale degree of this chord. So the 3, right? The 2, the 7, and the 6. The 3 of this E flat is G, so I formed a quartal chord off of the G. The second of this E flat is 1, 2 is B flat. Excuse me, is F. So I'm going to play a quartal chord off of that F, right? The 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So quartal chord off of that D, and the 6 is C, so quartal chord off of that. And it gives you some really nice ways to voice your 4. All right, and now let's look at the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is F. So the 5 is one of those chords that could be played as a major chord. So we'll look at those options first. You have F major, right? Or I could make this a sus2 voicing. Or I could make it the add 2 or the add 9, right? That's another option. Okay. What are some additional things you can do on the 5? So that's typically if you're going to land on the 5, you can just make it a major sus2 or the add 2 or add 9. Now, oftentimes the 5 is used as a passing chord to take you back to the 1. And so when we do this, if we want to use a passing chord to go back to the 1, we want to build some tension there. So how do I build tension? Well, one thing you can do is when you're on the 5, play the 4 as a major chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 is E flat. So when I play the E flat major over that 5, it essentially becomes like an F7 sus chord, okay? Alright, and that takes you back to the 1. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. You can play the 4 as a major over that 5 to get you back to the 1. Okay, another thing you can do is instead of playing the 4 as a major, you can play the 4 as a major 7th. So E flat, G, and B flat is major. Add in that major 7th, and then when you play it over the F, it sounds good too. So that sounds pretty sweet. Another thing that you can do is on that 5, instead of playing the 4 as a major or a major 7th, you can play the 4 as a diminished 7th. So that's E flat diminished, and I'm playing it in different inversions, and then that takes me back to my 1. Okay. And what's cool is you can even do all of this. You can do like the 4. Or you can do the so that sounds pretty good. Okay. And then there's something that's often done as more like, I guess, contemporary types of songs. You can actually play the 3 as a major. So 1, 2, 3, the third scale degree of B flat is D. Play that over that 5. And it sounds really good. Gives you a lot of tension, and then when you get to the 1, it's resolved. Alright, so again on the 5, I'm just playing the third scale degree. Okay, now since the 5 is typically something that wants to go to the 1, you can play the 5 just as a dominant chord, okay? A dominant chord would just be your regular triad, so F major, and then add the flat at 7th of F. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flat, that is E flat. And that gives you your dominant 7th. And that works, okay? And an easy way to do this is just play the F and then find the note that's a whole step down below your root. So F, go down, is E flat. So just play that 1 and the flat at 7th of the root. So this is, I'm thinking like I'm in F for a moment. That's why I said the 1 and the flat at 7. But anyways, play the root and then a whole step below that in your left hand. Right hand, just play a major chord, and that still gives you that dominant 7th, okay? And where I'm going with this is that when you do, when you play the root and the whole step below that in your left hand, and you go back to that third tone of the key that you're in, B flat, 1, 2, 3 is D. Now when I play it together, it gives me a nice altered chord, like an F flat 9 13. But I'm not thinking F 9 13 and all this stuff. I'm thinking find the third scale degree, play it as major in your right hand over this F and E flat, and it sounds really good together. All right, so now that we know what to do on the 5, let's take a look at the 6th scale degree. The 6th in the key of B flat major is going to be G, right? So what do I do on the 6th? Well, a lot of times in contemporary songs, the 6th, you're going to play the 4 major over top of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So over top of this G, I'm going to play the 4's major, which is E flat major. So E flat, G, and B. Excuse me, E flat, G, and B flat. So I'm going to do this, and this is commonly found in the 4, 5, 1 walk up or little progression. All right. So on the 6th, you can play the 4's major, or you can play the 4 as a sus2 chord. So instead of playing the G, play an F. Okay, and that sounds good. Again, when you're doing the 4, 5, 6, or that 6, 7, 1 walk up. Okay, and that works really well. Another thing that you can do on the 6th is you can play a chordal chord. Okay, a chordal chord specifically, that's a whole step below it. So I'm on the G, go down a whole step is F, and form a chordal chord using that F. And that sounds good. Again, it sounds great when you're doing that walk up from the 6 to the 7 to the 1. Okay. So that's another option. Now, of course, according to the number system, the 6 is typically minor. So your 6 could be just a minor triad, which is G, B flat, and D, right? You can make it a minor 7th by finding the 3rd scale degree, the 3rd tone of that G minor chord, which is B flat, and playing that as a major. So B flat, D, and F over the G gives you that minor 7th. Okay. You could make it a minor 9th by finding the 5th tone of that chord. So G, B flat, and D. D is the 5, and playing that as a minor chord. So D, F, and A. Okay. That gives you your G minor 9 sound. You could also make this a minor 11th by going a whole step below your root, which is F, and playing a major chord. So that's G minor in my left, G, B flat, and D. Right hand's playing the F major, F, A, and C. And that gives you your minor 11th sound. Okay, another thing you can do that I didn't touch on before when we were on the 2 or the 3 is anytime you want to play a minor chord, right? So 2, 3, and 6, you can actually play a chordal chord off of the root. So if it's G minor, play a chordal chord, and it still is going to give you an 11th type of sound. It's just a good thing to know about. Okay, so that's things you can do on the 6th scale degree. Let's take a look at the 7. The 7 in the key of B flat is A. On this 7, on the A, what you can do is play the 5th scale degree as a major chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is F. So play an F major. So this goes really well after you do the 6 to the 7 to the 1. Okay, so you can play that F major over the A. Another thing you can do is you can do a sus off of the 5. All right, so F, G, and C. Okay, now in gospel music, the 7 can be used as more of a landing tone, but it can also be used as a passing tone. And when it's a passing tone, in gospel, we typically play this as what's called a half diminished chord or a minor 7 flat 5. All right, so how do we play a minor 7 flat 5 or a half diminished? Well, if it's a minor 7 with a flat 5, let's start off with the minor 7. So the minor 7th would be A in your root. Go up to the minor 3rd. If I was just playing a minor triad, which is going to be that C, play a major chord. So that's your minor 7. But this is called a half diminished or a minor 7 with a flat at 5th. So 1, 3, 5. Here's the 5. So I'm going to flat that. That's my minor 7 flat 5 chord or my half diminished chord. All right, and this is commonly used in gospel music as a passing chord, but I just want to introduce it here. So minor 7 flat 5. A shortcut to be able to form this chord is to say, if I want to do an A minor 7 flat 5, just find your root, go up 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, and play a minor chord, minor triad. So that's your minor 7 flat 5, and that's typically used in a 7-3-6 progression, which sounds like this. All right, 7, 3, 6. Okay, that's just one way to voice it. So that's just an introduction to that. That you can use this as a minor 7 flat 5. And similarly, if you're doing a 7-3-6 chord progression and you're on the 7, you can just make that 7 a minor chord. So why not play it as a minor 7th? So 7, 3, 6. Okay, so you can do it as a minor 7th to your 3rd, which is typically dominant of some sort, to your 6th, which is typically minor of some sort. All right. Or you can do it like this. So that was a minor 7th. What if we made this a minor 9 off of this 7? Okay. So form a minor 9th. How do I form a minor 9th? Find the 5th tone of the minor chord. So 1, 3, 5. So play an E minor. Play that E minor on top of the A minor. So that's my 7. That's my 3. And that's my 6. Alright. So anyways, that's some options for every scale degree in the key of B flat major. I hope it's a blessing to you. Keep on practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.